Imagine this, it's 1623, and you're hiding in the shadows near Topkapi Palace. You see royal gardeners dragging a big sack to the Bosphorus River. Inside is a woman who talked too much about secret palace things. She's going to vanish forever under the black water. Her only crime was something that meant death in the scariest home on the planet. Welcome to the Ottoman Sultan's harem, where looking pretty was both a gift and a danger. Where fancy living cost you in pain and death, and one bad look or quiet word could end your life in ways worse than old torture rooms. The Ottoman Empire ruled parts of 3 big lands for more than 600 years. But inside the shiny palace walls, there was a punishment setup so mean and organized that today's toughest jails seem like fancy hotels. What you'll learn comes from old Ottoman papers, stories from people who saw it inside the palace, and digs that show how the strongest empire kept hundreds of women in line with ways that would stun people today. Before we go deeper into this scary part of history, if you like these lost tales as much as I do, think about hitting subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It's amazing how we can share these old stories from all over the world, linked by our interest in history's dark sides. The scariest person in the whole Ottoman harem wasn't the Sultan. It was a man who could never be with a woman, but he had power over life and death for hundreds of them. The Kizlar Agha, the top black eunuch, was at the head of a setup based on total fear. Just seeing him could make faces go pale and turn chats into deadly quiet. This wasn't a fake job or just a title. The Kizlar Agha had more real power than many leaders, running not just the daily lives of harem women, but if they lived or died. He picked who got food and who went hungry, who got doctor help and who hurt alone, who stayed alive and who got put in heavy sacks for the fish deep in the Bosphorus. Getting this job needed a special kind of meanness that the Ottomans made perfect over hundreds of years. These men weren't picked for office skills or smarts. They were chosen for how well they could scare minds while keeping the empire's fun running smooth. They needed to be smart to handle palace games, but tough enough to watch killings without blinking. The Kizlar Agha's day included checking every spot in the harem, hearing from secret tellers, and picking which rule breaks needed punishment. He kept full notes on each woman's actions, writing down talks, friendships, and any signs of being unhappy or fighting back. These notes weren't just office papers. They were lists of who might die soon. What made this setup extra scary was how it ruined normal people bonds. Women were pushed to tell on each other, making friends into tools for hurting one another. The Kizlar Agha built groups of spies among the harem people, giving small treats for info on their friends. Moms told on daughters. Sisters sold out sisters. Close pals turned into big enemies fast when a chance for royal likes was there. The empire made victims help in their own control, making it hard to fight back when you couldn't trust anyone near you. The punishment setup worked on many levels of mind tricks. The Kizlar Agha would say punishments out loud, making other women watch what happened for not following rules. These weren't fast deaths to cut pain. They were big shows made to boost fear and make sure every woman knew what would come if they broke rules. The sneakiest part of his power was using not knowing as a tool. Women never knew which rules would count that day, or which mistakes would be ignored or lead to death. This endless worry kept everyone unsteady, unable to plan fights or make real friends. The Kizlar's rooms were placed smart in the harem area, letting him watch many spots at once. His place had full maps of the harem setup, times for each woman's day, and worst of all, things taken from women who got killed. These keepsakes were always there to show his power and what happened to anyone who fought the system. The body punishments he ordered went from small shames to hurts that left forever marks. But the mind punishments were often worse. Women could be kept alone for months, with no people touch except guards bringing little food and water. They lost their names, called just by numbers, wiping out who they were until they forgot their old self before the palace. Some women had to see others get punished, building hurt links that made fighting harder. Others got fake hopes of getting out or moving up, just to have them taken away at the end. The Kizlar Agha knew breaking a person's will was better than breaking their body, but he would do both if needed. The most upsetting part of this whole setup was how it fit into bigger Ottoman life. The empire made laws that allowed these things and even said they were good for keeping order. Religion leaders gave reasons. Law experts wrote books backing the ways, and visitors from other lands were kept from seeing what really happened inside palace walls. The Kizlar Agha's power went outside the harem. He ran big money, handled world slave buying, and shaped empire rules through his way to the sultan's private spots. His ideas could pick what happened to areas, if wars won, and where the empire grew. This much power in someone best at scaring women shows key things about Ottoman rule. The empire made cruelty normal, like collecting taxes or getting soldiers. The punishments we'll look at weren't weird or too much from one ruler. They were set rules to keep control with steady fear. The papers show different Kizlar Aghas had their own best ways, they liked punishment and control methods. Some liked mind games, others body pain, and the best mixed both with knowing people that would wow today's questioners. They watched their targets, learning personal scares and weak spots, then used them like a knife. The lessons they got were not like in other empires. New Kizlar Aghas learned about people minds, how to see tiny face changes, spot lies, and find trouble starters before they did stuff. They learned how different groups acted, knowing a Greek farm girl would react unlike a Circassian royal girl to threats. These men kept full mind notes on every woman they controlled. They knew who gave in easy, who thought of fighting, and who could become tellers with right mixes of gifts and scares. The best Kizlar Aghas could guess scary right who would try to run, who would try to charm guards, and who would crack from palace stress. But the real horror of the punishment setup wasn't only its toughness. It was its new ideas. The Ottoman court made suffering like art, making discipline ways that made victims want fast death mercy. These weren't wild hits from mad or upset. They were set answers to send clear notes to the other harem people. The first level of punishment was what palace papers nicely called fixing attitude. Women who didn't show enough excitement for jobs, who didn't smile real during royal trips, or showed any sad about their spot, got quick fixes. This could mean standing forced for days, with guards making sure no sitting or leaning. The standing punishment seems almost nice next to others until you get its mind hit. Women stood in yards where other harem people saw them, as live signs of what came for not acting happy right. Their legs got big, backs hurt bad, and minds started breaking from body ache and open shame. Those who fell got pulled to alone rooms cut into palace basements. These spots were made to break minds with no senses. Total black, no sound, and small size so people couldn't stretch arms or legs. Women stayed like this for weeks, fed just to live while their sane mind faded. The alone time wasn't only punishment. It was remaking. When women came out, they were changed. Many got what palace doctors called palace crazy, a state that made them follow perfect but empty inside. They smiled when told, did any job no questions, and never showed own self or wants again. The second level hit women who did worse things like trying to talk outside or making love ties with other harem people. These faced what papers call learning lessons to show results of feeling ties. One extra scary way made women watch punishment of anyone they liked. If you made a friend with another woman, she got hurt while you had to see it all. If you liked a helper or guard, that person got cut up while you watched. The note was plain, caring for anyone meant their end. Making no feelings a way to stay alive. Some women tried to hide by acting like they didn't care. But the Kizlar Agha and helpers were pros at seeing real versus fake feelings. They made big tests to find true ties, like fake dangers to see who helped who, or fake kill plans to see who warned who. The third level was for women who tried to run or were thought to plot versus the Sultan. These got what Ottoman papers call forever fix, ways to make sure no more danger while alive as signs to others. Body changes were usual but thought out. Women might get leg strings cut to stop running, tongues part taken to stop talk, or fingers broke to stop writing. The aim wasn't just stop, but make seen signs of fight cost. Other harem people saw these women every day, their changed bodies as steady warns on saying no.